So we're on board HMS Belfast today. HMS Belfast is a former Royal Navy light cruiser. It was built in the 1930s and launched in 1938 on St Patrick's Day, which is appropriate for a ship named after Belfast. The Second World War broke out in September 39, and initially Belfast was part of the naval blockade against Germany. And in 1944, Belfast fired one of the first shots at the D-Day landings, which led to the liberation of Western Europe. In 1945, towards the end of the war, Belfast was sent to the Far East. Britain was fighting a war against Japan, and after Japan surrendered in August 1945, Belfast was sent to Shanghai, where 70 years ago a children's party was held on board ship for British children who'd been held in Japanese internment camps during the war.
I'm very pleased to meet a number of people who were on the party, and one or two who were in the same camp as I was.
My memories, since I'm much younger, dominantly around the time when we left the camp, and of course freedom was something that I'd not experienced at all before. The Americans used to parachute in food parcels, and the parachutes were all multicolored silk, reds, blues, greens, very bright, and of course that was hugely beneficial to the ladies who could make their dresses out of it. So I remember that distinctly.
I do remember the party making me feel quite ill because we weren't used to such wonderful food that we got there, and I seem to have a memory of sailors giving us chocolate bars, and this was their own rations that they gave us.
The Second World War changed the lives of everyone in Britain. But now I think when we think about the Second World War, we often imagine the war in Europe. We think of Spitfires and Dunkirk and D-Day. We often forget the war in the Far East, and within that we often forget particularly the experience of Allied civilians, many of whom suffered very greatly in Japanese internment. So events like this are a chance to remind ourselves of that particular aspect of the history of the Second World War.